A man received a text message from a stranger. It contained only 4 words. "Don't go home tonight." Assuming it was a mistake, he replied immediately. "Wrong number." The response arrived less than 10 seconds later. I know, that wasn't the only strange message, but it was the one he never forgot. Tonight's stories all begin the same way, with a message that was never meant for the person who received it. Daniel was leaving work when his phone vibrated. The message came from a number he didn't recognize. "Don't go home tonight." No greeting, no explanation, nothing else. Daniel frowned. "Wrong number," he typed. The reply appeared almost instantly. "I know." For several seconds, he simply stared at the screen. Then he laughed. Someone was either confused or trying to be funny. He slipped the phone back into his pocket and continued walking. 10 minutes later, another message arrived. "Please. Not tonight." The tone felt different now. Less like a joke, more like a warning. Daniel stopped walking. Who is this? No answer. He waited. Nothing. Eventually, he got into his car and drove home. The rest of the evening passed normally. Dinner, television, a few emails. Nothing unusual. Just before midnight, his phone vibrated again. "Did you go home?" Daniel stared at the screen. He considered ignoring it. Instead, he replied, "Yes." Several minutes passed. Then another message appeared. "You shouldn't have." Daniel felt a brief chill. The conversation was becoming annoying. He blocked the number and went to bed. The following morning, everything seemed fine. No break-in, no damage, no sign that anything had happened. By lunchtime, he had almost forgotten about the messages. Then another text arrived, this time from a completely different number. "You blocked the other one." Daniel stopped walking. Same style, same short sentences, same feeling. "Who are you?" No answer. Several hours later, another message arrived. "Leave work early today." Daniel didn't. Nothing happened. The next morning, another message appeared. "You stayed." Again. At that point, curiosity started replacing irritation. Whoever was sending the messages clearly knew certain details about his routine. Not many, but enough. They knew when he left work. They knew when he got home. They knew he had blocked the first number. Daniel started reviewing the conversations. The messages never contained threats, never asked for money, never tried to trick him into doing anything. The sender seemed interested in only one thing: getting him somewhere else. "Don't go home tonight. Leave work early. Take a different route. Stay somewhere else." The requests varied. The pattern didn't. One evening, Daniel finally decided to test it. Instead of driving home, he spent several hours at a friend's apartment across town. Around midnight, a message arrived. "Thank you." That was new. For the first time, the sender sounded relieved. Daniel immediately replied. "Why?" No response. Hours passed. Nothing. The following day, he returned home after work. Everything appeared normal, at least until he checked his mailbox. Among the usual advertisements and bills sat a plain white envelope. No stamp, no return address, just his name. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The message contained 6 words. "You went home anyway." Daniel stared at the page. The sentence made no sense. He was holding it because he had gone home. Of course he had gone home. Yet for some reason, the wording unsettled him more than any text message had. That night, he left every light in the house turned on. The messages stopped shortly afterward. Days passed, then weeks, then months. No texts, no calls, nothing. Eventually, Daniel convinced himself the entire situation had been an elaborate prank. That explanation wasn't satisfying, but it was better than the alternatives. Almost a year later, while cleaning old files from his phone, he found screenshots of the conversation. Curious, he checked the numbers. Every one of them had been disconnected. Every one except the first. The number that had sent, "Don't go home tonight." For reasons he still couldn't explain, Daniel called it. The line connected immediately. No ringing. No greeting. Just silence. Then a voice, quiet, distant, almost whispering. "You listened once." The call ended. Daniel never received another message, and he never called the number again. Unlike Daniel, the next person wasn't contacted by a stranger. He was added to a conversation that should never have included him in the first place. A group chat. Unlike Daniel, the next person wasn't contacted by a stranger. He was added to a conversation that should never have included him in the first place. A group chat. Michael first noticed the group while sitting in traffic. His phone vibrated repeatedly. Message after message after message. At first he assumed it was work. Then he looked at the screen. Someone had added him to a group chat. 23 members. None of the names meant anything to him. The group title was simple. Waiting Room. Michael immediately opened the chat. The newest message had arrived seconds earlier. Finally. That was it. Just one word. Finally. Several other members reacted with thumbs-up emojis. A few responded with short messages. About time. Took long enough. He's here. Michael frowned. He typed a quick reply. "I think you've added the wrong person." For several seconds, nobody responded. Then a new message appeared. "We know." Michael stared at the screen. Another message followed. "Stay this time." The conversation instantly stopped. No one said anything else. No explanation. No introduction. Nothing. Feeling mildly uncomfortable, Michael left the group. 5 minutes later, his phone vibrated. He had been added back. The same group. The same members. The same title. Waiting room. This time he didn't say anything. He simply left again. A minute later, the group disappeared. Problem solved. Or so he thought. The following evening it happened again. Same title. Same members. Same silence after he joined. Michael opened the member list. 23 people. Different profile photos. Different names. Yet somehow, the group felt identical. As if the people had changed, but the conversation had not. Again he left. Again the group vanished. Over the next 2 weeks, the pattern continued. Sometimes the group appeared every day. Sometimes it disappeared for several days. Whenever Michael joined, somebody always sent a message. Never more than 1 or 2 sentences. Never enough to explain anything. And always the same general tone, as if they had been expecting him. One night, curiosity finally got the better of him. Instead of leaving, he stayed. The group remained quiet for nearly an hour. Then a message appeared. Scroll up. Michael frowned. The conversation history stretched back years. Thousands of messages. He began reading. At first, the messages made no sense. Random conversations. People discussing events he didn't understand. Arguments, jokes, plans. The further back he scrolled, the stranger things became. The membership list changed constantly. Names appeared. Names vanished. Yet certain phrases kept repeating. Still waiting. Not this one. Try again. Wrong person. Michael continued scrolling. Then something caught his attention. A phone number. His phone number. Posted inside the chat years earlier. Long before he had ever owned it. He checked again. The number matched exactly. The timestamp did not. That should have been impossible. Mobile carriers recycled numbers all the time, but not years before the number officially existed. Michael took screenshots. Dozens of them. The next morning he reviewed everything. Most of the messages remained. Some had disappeared. Others looked different. A few screenshots no longer matched the chat. That afternoon he returned to the group. For the first time, someone directly answered one of his questions. Who are you people? The response appeared almost immediately. People who got added too early. Michael stared at the message. Before he could reply, another appeared. Not your turn yet. The group went silent again. 3 days later, the chat vanished completely. No notification. No removal message. Nothing. It simply disappeared. Michael assumed it was finally over. Then, nearly 6 months later, his phone vibrated once more. The group had returned. Different title. different members. Same number of participants. 23. Michael opened the chat. Only one message waited inside. Wrong person again. The group deleted itself less than a minute later. Michael never saw it again. Years afterward, he would occasionally check old screenshots stored in cloud backups. Most were still there. One wasn't. The screenshot showing his phone number had disappeared entirely, as though it had never existed. The next story didn't begin with a text message or a group chat. It began with something far more ordinary. An email sent to the wrong person. The next story didn't begin with a text message or a group chat. It began with something far more ordinary. An email sent to the wrong person. Aaron first noticed the problem on a Tuesday morning. The email looked harmless. A hotel reservation confirmation. Wrong name. Wrong destination. Wrong account. Aaron assumed someone had made a typo while entering an address. It happened all the time. Without thinking much about it, he replied, "Wrong email." A few hours later, another message arrived. This one contained flight information. Again, not his. Again, he replied, "Wrong email." The sender never responded. Days later, another appeared. Then another. Then another. Different subjects, different documents, different companies. Always intended for the same unknown person. And somehow, always ending up in Aaron's inbox. At first, the situation was merely annoying. Then it became strange. Because the emails weren't random. They appeared connected. Travel bookings, meetings, schedules, invoices, hotel confirmations. It almost looked as if Aaron were accidentally watching someone else's life unfold through email. Months passed. The messages continued. Sometimes several each week. Sometimes none for days. Whenever Aaron replied, nobody acknowledged him. Nobody corrected the mistake. Nobody updated the address. The email simply kept arriving. Eventually, curiosity got the better of him. He created a folder. Every misplaced email went inside. By the end of the year, the folder contained hundreds of messages. One evening, Aaron began reviewing them. That's when he noticed the pattern. The sender names changed constantly. The companies changed. The locations changed. The recipient never did. Every message was intended for the same person, a person whose name appeared nowhere. Only initials, JW. That was all. Aaron searched the entire folder, hundreds of emails, thousands of pages. No full name, no explanation, just JW. For a while, he considered deleting everything. Then something changed. One morning, a new email arrived. The subject line contained only 2 words. "We know." Aaron opened it immediately. The body of the email was empty. No attachments, no signature, nothing. For several moments, he simply stared at the screen. Then another email arrived. Same sender. Same subject line. We know this one contained a single sentence. Stop replying. Aaron felt a chill run through him. For the first time, someone was responding directly to him. He checked the sender address. It belonged to one of the companies that had accidentally emailed him before. Aaron replied immediately. Who are you trying to reach? No answer. The next morning, he received another email. No subject, no greeting. Just one sentence. You're making it harder. That evening, Aaron stopped responding. The misplaced emails continued anyway. Weeks passed. Then months. More reservations. More invoices. More documents. As if the conversation had never happened. Eventually, Aaron stopped paying attention. The folder grew larger. Life moved on. Then, nearly a year after the first email arrived, everything suddenly stopped. No more reservations, no more invoices, no more messages, nothing. For several weeks, Aaron heard absolutely nothing. Then one final email appeared. No sender name, no company, no signature. The message contained a single sentence. Thank you for forwarding everything. Aaron read it twice, then a third time. His stomach tightened. He had never forwarded anything. Not a single email, not one document. Nothing. He checked his sent folder. Empty. No forwarded messages. No suspicious activity. No sign that anyone had accessed his account. Yet whoever wrote the email seemed completely certain. Thank you for forwarding everything. Aaron never received another message after that. The folder still exists. Hundreds of emails, hundreds of mistakes. Or at least, what he hopes were mistakes. Because every so often he still opens the folder and asks himself the same question. If he never forwarded anything, who did? Unlike Aaron, the next person wasn't receiving messages by mistake. At least not exactly. The problem was already inside his phone, waiting for him to notice it. Unlike Aaron, the next person wasn't receiving messages by mistake. At least, not exactly. The problem was already inside his phone, waiting for him to notice it. Ethan discovered it by accident. While searching for a friend's number, he noticed something strange. One of his contacts had a different name. Not a completely different name. Just slightly different. The contact had originally been saved as Mike. Now it appeared as Michael. Ethan assumed he had changed it himself and forgotten. The thought lasted less than a minute. Because later that evening, the name changed again. This time it read, Mike R. Ethan frowned. The number remained the same. Only the name kept changing. The next morning it became Michael Reed. That finally got his attention. Ethan opened the contact information. The number was unfamiliar. No call history, no text messages, no emails. Nothing. As far as he could tell, he had never communicated with the person. Yet the contact existed, and the name continued changing. Over the next week, Ethan took screenshots every time it happened. Mike, Michael, Michael Reed, M. Reed. Then, unexpectedly, don't answer. Ethan stared at the screen. For several seconds, he wondered if a friend was somehow playing a prank. The idea made no sense. Nobody had access to his phone. Nobody had access to his accounts. Yet there it was. Don't answer. He deleted the contact. The next day it returned. Same number. Different name. Still there. Ethan backed up his phone, scanned it for malware, changed passwords, replaced the device entirely. The contact returned anyway, each time attached to the same number, each time with a different name.
Sometimes days passed without changes.
Sometimes the name updated several times within hours. Then the messages became more direct. Not yet. Wait. Ignore it. Ethan never received calls. Never received texts. The number itself remained silent. Only the contact name changed. One night, he woke suddenly and checked his phone. The contact had updated again. For the first time in weeks. The new name read, "It's calling." Ethan sat upright. His pulse immediately quickened. The number wasn't calling. The screen showed no incoming call, no notification, nothing. Yet 20 seconds later, his phone rang. Unknown number. Ethan watched it vibrate across the nightstand. He did not answer. The ringing stopped. The contact changed again. Good. For the next several days, nothing happened. Then the updates returned. Soon. Almost there. One more day. Ethan stopped sleeping well. Every notification made him uneasy. Every vibration made him check the contact. Then, late one evening, the final change appeared. Too late. Ethan immediately opened the contact. Same number. Same empty history. Same silence. The next morning, the contact vanished completely. Gone. No trace, no number, no record. Nothing. Ethan never saw it again. Oddly enough, that wasn't what bothered him most. Years later, he still remembers one detail. The unknown number never called after the contact disappeared. Not once. As though whatever had been trying to reach him eventually decided there was no longer any reason to try. Most wrong numbers are exactly what they appear to be. A mistake, a typo, a misplaced digit, a message sent to the wrong person. Most people delete them and move on. The people in these stories tried doing exactly that. But every now and then, a message arrives where it shouldn't. A call reaches the wrong phone. An email lands in the wrong inbox. A conversation includes the wrong person. And the most unsettling part isn't the message itself. It's the possibility that maybe you weren't the wrong person after all.